What's up, everybody? It is talk pick time, and you haven't seen me in a couple weeks. So a lot been going on. I've been kind of sick. I wasn't able to eat for days. Like, it's been crazy. But I'm back now, and I have a show that I really want to release. I've been anticipating releasing this, and I finally got time to do a video, and I finally look good enough to present myself, because I was not about to come on here with bags under my eyes and low energy, because y'all don't deserve that at all. So I came on here fresh face, made sure I cleaned my face real good with my black soap so that I could present this show to you. So this week on the show, I thought it was good to just really be real with the people of some of the things that goes on in our households that we sometimes don't know about. But this interview may hit home for some. I don't do the interviews like this to make people sad or anything like that, but just to let you know that there is some people that's went through things that you went through, and if we can relate to each other, we can heal each other, and we can move on and help the next person so that they don't go through the same thing. So with this interview, I want you guys to be aware that these things happen a lot, and sometimes we do not discuss it, we don't talk about it or anything like that, because we sometimes feel ashamed to talk about it, because it's not something that you really want to share. So I just first of all want to thank the person that has done this interview for me. Thank you for being open, thank you for sharing with us, and thank you for just giving us your story, because some of us need to hear it so that we understand that, you can't trust everybody. You can't. Period. Like, although we want to, I'm not saying that you can't trust nobody, but you got to be careful out here. Especially, we got to be careful with our kids. Got to be careful with our loved ones. We just have to make sure that we're doing everything to be careful. You know what I'm saying? So, without further ado, we have an interview that's coming up. You won't be able to see the interview. You'll be able to hear it. So, right now, sit back, relax. It's not too long. And just be aware. And if you want to, definitely hit me up if you would like to share your story. But this is just, a platform to give people a chance to tell their story and to open up so that it'll help the next person. I believe that if we work together, teamwork make the dream work. We can help each other. And if we want peace, we got to be peace. So enjoy this interview that's coming up right now.
Hey, hello.
Hey, hi Paige, how are you?
I'm fine, and you?
Pretty good. I had to make sure I got everything in my background to be very, very quiet, and I had to get my dog situated so she don't.
Okay, that's no problem. Well, I'm in a quiet place as well, so I'm all set and ready whenever you're ready.
Perfect. So I already have it recording. A couple things. I'm gonna try to say the bare minimum because I want you to be in control of what you want to share. Now, I will ask a few questions that I think my listeners will want to know. But only thing is, you're in Houston, you said right now?
Yes, I'm in Houston.
Okay, so I want to just make sure I write that down when I'm giving the description underneath the video. Paige, Houston. All right, so I have it recording here, and so this is Paige, and Paige is from Houston, Texas, and she's going to be sharing her story.
I'm not from Houston, Texas, but that's where I'm at now. I'm originally from the Bahamas. Remember, I had emailed you.
Oh, yeah, the Bahamas. Okay, correct. Yeah. So you're from the Bahamas, and you moved to Houston, Texas, so you're located in Houston, Texas right now. Okay, perfect. And, yep, we can go ahead and start now.
Okay.
So let's see. So where do you want to start?
Okay, so I was gonna just talk about, how I grew up. As a child, I experienced, being molested by a family member, and then I wanted to talk about how it was growing up, without my father being there.
Okay.
So, yeah, those two things mainly.
Okay.
I never really speak out on it, so yeah.
Perfect. So let's start in your childhood. So let's go back to the Bahamas, because most of us, like, I would love to live in the Bahamas because it just sounds like it's sunny days every single day. So
yeah,
how was it growing up in the Bahamas?
So, growing up in the Bahamas, it was it was actually a good experience for some reason, but I would say the island life is kind of different. Is not like how it is here. It's a bit different, but you I guess it's just a little, like when I said it's a little different, it's just not advanced as, we're not advanced as American, kids.
Right.
So it's a little different. It's a little old school. But yeah, as a kid, I grew up in a small little village, so I mainly stayed with my grandmother. I would go there every weekend, and we would just like me and a few other cousins. We'd go down there and we'd just be there for like the weekend. But it was always challenging for me because I was more like the rejected one.
Right. Okay.
I was more like the rejected one. So, I was not really a happy kid. But, I pretended, that I was, I always pretend as if I was good, but I was not really a happy kid. I dealt with a lot of depression because, like I told you, I was rejected from family members. Sometimes like my aunt, she would come around and she would like take the kids by her, but, she would never take me. So I always felt like, like I said, I always felt like the black sheep in the family. So that was how my childhood basically was. It was not one that I would imagine to have, but it was okay. It just was not the best childhood.
Right. Now, why did you, if you don't mind me asking, why did you feel rejected? Like, what exactly have you ever like found out like what it was? Was it just like they didn't treat you the same because of the complexion of your skin or because of your appearance, or was it a certain reason?
That's the thing. That's what I'm trying to. I'm like, up to this day, I'm still trying to figure that out. I don't know why I was rejected, because I don't know. I was always very petite, and I don't know. I was very petite. Maybe it may have been the color of my skin, but I was also a very outspoken child. So I don't know if it was because of that, but it was just unexplainable, and I never really understood why exactly, because I've never really talked about it. I've never really even asked my aunts about it. Up to this day, they still don't know how I felt as a child because I never really speak out on it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So did you have any siblings, sisters?
Yes, I did. I had two siblings. They were boys. So it was, and they're like far behind me. So I mainly grew up with my cousins. So it'd be my mom's sister kids that I would normally be around.
Okay. And then what about your parents? Like, you were with your grandmother most, like for weeks sometimes, but what about your parents?
Okay, so my mom, she was always there for me, but my father, he was born in the Bahamas, and he left the Bahamas at the age, while I was I think I was around 3 years old when he left the Bahamas, and it was like he just picked up and he just left everything behind. Of course, I was not the only child that he had. He had about 10 children in total, and it was like, I always felt a void too because he was not there. I grew up in a home with just my mom. She was a single mother. She was not married. So it was kind of a struggle with me dealing with that as well, along with the rejection. I dealt with, not having a father there. And it was like, I endured a lot of pain and a lot of hurt. And it kind of left me feeling void, like I was missing something. I would see kids out with their fathers, their fathers would bring them to school, and, it would just make me feel, some type of way, because I was like, this is what I wanted, but unfortunately, I never got to experience that kind of love, that father-daughter love. So that was something I always struggle with as well. And it led to insecurities, and it led to so much, even with me dating and in relationships and stuff like that, I had a lot of, insecurities, and I just didn't really, I just didn't really, you know, I just didn't really value, I didn't really value myself the way I should have, because, like I said, like, you know, with him not being there, like, I always felt like, you know, I just always felt like I was just unhappy, not only because of the rejection, but because of him not being there. It was just my mother, just my grandmother, like, you know, they were always there and they always made things happen for me. But if I can go back in time, you know, and I can change things, I would, you know, I would make sure put my father in place, you know, to be there with me. Right. But yeah, that's how it was, you know, growing up with my parents. Just having one there and the other one not being there. Okay. And I met my father when I was 18 years old. So I didn't see him. So basically, for all of my life, I didn't really see him. So I would hear about him, but he was alive and everything, but he just turned his back and he never, you know, he never really checked. I had to go and reach out to like one of my siblings on his side, and they gave me his number. And that is how, you know, I connected with him.
Wow. And how was that?
Well, to be honest with you, it was like, the feeling was, when I first met him, he was like so nice, and, you know, he was like, you know, he was really, really genuine, and he was so affectionate towards me, and I was like, wow, if only I had this, you know, as a child, you know. He was really affectionate towards me when I had first came. Actually, when I connected with him, I had planned a trip, and I came, because he lives in Atlanta. I had planned a trip, and I had came over to visit him in Atlanta. And with me being there with him, I mean, like, when I had first came through the airport and he saw me, he had opened the door for me, you know, he had embraced me, gave me a kiss on my forehead, and, you know, I was like, wow, you know, this is what I was, you know, this is what I was longing for all of my life, you know. Right. If only he was there as a child, you know, this could have helped me in a major way, but he was not there for me. So I just felt like, I don't know, I just felt like if he was there for me, things would have been a little different. So after I had got to know him, you know, it actually, I started to feel like that void was being filled, you know, so, yeah, that was how it was.
Wow, okay. So let me back up a little bit and go back to your childhood. You mentioned that in your childhood, you were molested, and I kind of want to tap on that because it's some people that listen to the show that has went through the same thing. And they're going through things and they really don't understand why, because they never really dealt with it, and they really haven't spoken on it because they were afraid to speak on it. Tell me a little bit about how and when that started.
Okay, so this had all started when I was around the age of 10 or something. I think it was like 9 or 10. So my mom and my aunts, like two of my aunts, they would go to work and they would leave us in the house. They'd leave their kids and my mom would leave me. So we would be, my cousin, my bigger cousin, like my older cousin, he would keep us. And, you know, he would keep all of us and stuff because he was like around 15. I was like around 9 or 10, and they may have been like, you know, a year under me. It wasn't much of a difference. So he would keep us, you know, when my mom and my aunt go to work, and he would actually molest all of us. Like, it was just not me. He would like try to touch us up, like touch our private parts, and you know, try to get us to engage in things that, you know, we never wanted to engage in. So it was kind of like, at that time, I didn't really know any better, but I always was scared to speak out on it. Up to this day, I've never really touched this subject. I always run from it. You know, I would hear people talk about their stories. I would read books on it, but I've always tried to stay away from the topic. But it has done some damage to me as well, because it messed with my trust. Like I told you, I had some trust issues. Right. It was hard for me to trust people, you know, because I mean, it was a family member, you know. So my mom, they never really knew what was going on. So they continued to let him keep us, and this was going on for at least 4 to 5 years, you know.
Wow.
He would molest us every time we would, every time he would take care of us, he'd molest us. And like I said, he did it to all of us. It was like 3 of us in total. So it was not just me.
Mm-hmm.
And as I got older, and I think about it, like even when I would face him, like I could never really look him in his eyes. Not that I hate him or anything like that, but it just felt awkward. Like I just couldn't be in the same room with him and be at ease. Like my mind would always go back on when we were kids.
Right.
But it was like I said, it has done some damage to me, and I would just say that, people should be very careful when it comes to, like, especially female children, mm-hmm. You have to be very careful when you're leaving your kids in the care of, males. Right. It can be their brother, it can be, their uncle, it can be their dad. Like, you have to be very, very careful, and you should ask questions. Mm-hmm. Because that, too, I feel like, because my mom, I feel like if she would have asked me something, then maybe I would have told her, but I just never speak out on it. And my cousins, they never did it as well. Mm-hmm. So it just was swept under the rug, Right. But that happened for at least 4 years.
Wow. That's crazy, because it's like I see a lot of articles and a lot of stories where a mother lets her boyfriend or let someone babysit the kids, and the kids get molested or get raped. And it was one story about, I think it was a guy that was babysitting his girlfriend's daughter, and literally killed the little girl and tried to hide and say that she ran away. And the little girl was, I think, around 6 years old when this happened. Yeah. So I think it's really good to share, because a lot of people feel comfortable with certain people in their lives because, we're related. So, they don't expect something like that to happen.
Right.
You mentioned that you were afraid to say something about it. Did he ever threaten you? Like, if you say anything, this would happen, or anything like that?
Yeah, it was more like, I won't say that he threatened us, but he tried to make us feel like what he was doing was right. And because I was so young, like, I didn't really know, right from wrong like that, because I was really young. So he tried to make it seem as if it was right. And, at that age, I didn't know anything about incest and all of these things. Mm-hmm. But I kind of knew, like, as I got older, I kind of knew. I was like, okay, yeah, what he did was wrong, because why would you touch me in that kind of way? And, like, even though I would think on it as I got older, I still never spoke on it. Like, I just left it. I swept it under the rug. And I know a lot of times people, they would get molested by family members, or even, people, friends of the family and stuff like that, and they don't speak up on it. And when you would ask them why, it's like they can't really tell you why. I don't know if it's like a fear, like, I don't know if it's like a fear that comes over you, like when you're a victim, like when you deal with this kind of thing, it's like you be more in fear. Like, you'd be scared to even talk about it, because you're like, oh, I don't want my mama to whoop my butt, because it's like you feel like you're doing something wrong as well. So I think maybe that may have been it as well. Mm-hmm. I just don't know, but I never really spoke on it.
Mm. So for any of the mothers, because we got like a lot of mothers that listen to the show, what advice would you give them so that they don't make their kids feel like they have to be afraid to say something?
I would just say to them, try to keep a relationship, an open relationship with your daughter, like, with your female daughters, try to, I mean, not only females, but even males, because this happened, of course, to males as well. But try to keep a relationship with your kids, try to, like, just make them comfortable, don't always be so stern and, hard on them. You get them to the point where they trust you, whereas they feel like they can talk to you about anything, mm-hmm. because I feel like that helps kids, to open up more. Because my mom was more like of a stern person, mm-hmm. I think too that may have been one of the reasons why I never really, spoke on the situation, because I didn't know how she may have reacted. So I was afraid of that as well. Like I said, sometimes fear would be the main issue on why people hold those kind of things in. So I would just say that, once they keep a relationship with their kids and, ask questions, mm-hmm. try to ask questions, because like I say, sometimes it's all about you asking questions, because if you can ask the right question, you can get, you can kind of, get it out of them. So, sometimes you have to be like, if you drop your kids off to like a family member or a daycare, wherever you drop them off, you should ask questions. Ask them how was their day, how was their day, how was it there, and just ask random questions, because kids will let you know.
Right.
So that would be my advice.
Right. And I guess another good question for me to ask is like you're being really brave to share your story. How did you get to this point that you were comfortable to be able to share your story like this?
Well, it took a lot of courage, to be honest with you, because like I said, I'm gonna be 29 in a few weeks, like 3 weeks from now, and it's not really easy. It took a lot of courage, because I've kept all of this in for so many years. A lot of my family members don't even know this. I think I had just told my mom for the first time what took place this same year. She had said, she was like, "Why didn't you tell me?"
Right.
But yeah, I've kept all of this in for a very, very long time, and I always felt, like it was just embarrassing to talk about it. So I just never talked about it. But I'm actually writing a book now. So eventually, this is going to come out and everybody's going to know. So that's probably why I'm actually, more bold and brave enough to share it now, because I'm actually in the process of writing a book, and I'm basically covering all of this stuff that I dealt with as a child.
Wow. Well, I can't wait to read that book. I've been like,
Yeah,
I've been
so
going
I'm writing
crazy.
a book now, and eventually I'm going to release it. I'm not sure when as yet, but I'm still in the process of writing it.
Mm. Well, I
Yes.
I think that's amazing to write it, to share the story. I believe that especially a few people that's listening will want to read the book and get like a really detailed, storyline of everything that went on. So I'm glad we got a sneak peek today.
Yes,
But um,
definitely.
so in the state that you're in right now, do you ever go back to the Bahamas? Do you ever see that cousin or?
Well, I haven't went back. I haven't went back to the, like, I'm not sure when I'm gonna be going back, but
Mhm.
I've been here now just like almost a year. So I haven't been here for a long, long time.
Okay.
So I've seen him sometime like last year or maybe the year before. I'm not sure. So I'll see him more like at family gatherings and stuff like that.
Mhm.
So yeah, but like I said, every time I would see him, it would just be awkward. I would say hi, I would say hey, but I don't really do too much talking with him. But I forgave him and everything.
Mhm.
I've never really or I've never asked him anything about it since then. I've never even asked him anything. So he's married now, he has a daughter and everything, but I've
Mhm.
never touched on it since then. So yeah, that's just how it's been. How
Right.
it's been with us.
Wow. Well,
Hmm.
this this has been super super amazing. I'm glad that you were able to share the story with me and to our my listeners, because I mean it's stuff like this that we need to hear to make sure that we're staying aware of things that could actually happen or things that could have possibly happened that we haven't addressed. So thank you so much for sharing your story with us. I'm hoping for great success for your book and for everything that's going on. And happy before birthday too. If I don't talk to you,
Thank you so much.
if I don't talk to
Thank
you,
you so much. It
yeah,
was a pleasure.
yeah. This
And I
is
hope that
amazing.
my story, touches someone, helps someone.
Definitely, definitely. I think it will. I mean, it touched me because I know that I my family is really huge, and
Hmm.
I've I know about stories that has happened at sleepovers and slumber parties that
Hmm.
hasn't been addressed. So I'm hoping that with your story, that someone that's listening will be able to say, I went through this and this helped me to be able to talk about it. Because I think the more that you talk about it or you write about it, you're letting it go and you're helping someone else. So,
Yes, definitely.
Okay, so y'all heard the interview. Once again, thank you, Paige from Houston, Texas, for sharing your story with us. We really appreciate it. I wanted to bring this to a light because a lot of times we see stories on Facebook, Instagram, and different things about, like, women letting their boyfriend take, babysit their kids, or just, people in general letting their kids be babysit by different people, or going to daycares and things happening. I just want to bring awareness to it that these things happen, and it's not just Facebook. Sometimes it's in your family and you don't even know about it. So I just want to let people to know to be careful, like, just as your body is a temple, your family, your kids, the people around you, also you have to be careful for them, because you never know what is going on in the next person's head. I tell people that all the time. Like, when I go places, like, I try to be careful because I don't know what the next person got going on in their head, and I just don't want things to get ugly. I'm not trying to escalate a situation, but if it go there, it go there. You know what I'm saying? But I just wanted to bring that to the light that, growing up, some of us have been through things and we haven't been brave enough to share it. And it's cool. It's your business or whatever. But let's help the next generation so that they don't have to go through this. Like, things like this happen. And we have to be aware that you're not the only person that's going through things. You're not the only person that's been through this. And I just wanted to share this because I thought it was a really great interview to share with people, because sometimes it's hard for single mothers. It's really hard, like, when you gotta work, you gotta take care of the kids, and then also, like, it's hard for people, period. Like, these bills ain't cheap. These bill collectors don't care. They want their money, period. So be aware of the people that you have in your circle and the people that are around your kids. Like, I feel like the kids right now are the most important thing because they're still developing. Like, we're older and we're still growing, but we really have to take care and protect our kids and know who's around our kids, who's taking care of our kids, who is our kids listening to, who are they looking up to. Like, we really have to be aware of those type of things. So I hope that you guys got something from that interview. And fellas, I hope you got something from that interview that, like, we need you. Fathers, like, we need you, period. Like, I understand that sometimes social media and everything, like, the whole media thing will definitely down a man and make it seem like men aren't important. But since Black History Month, my black men, no matter, my Latino men, everybody, like, we need y'all. We need y'all in the house. We need y'all love. We need y'all protection. You're so important. You may not get all of the appreciation that you deserve. And I know women, especially these days, we're taking control, and it's been a lot of, like, clashing on social media when it comes to men and women. But I just want to let you guys know that we definitely need you in the household. Like, we need you there. So for the men that's actually there, we appreciate you. I know sometimes we don't say it enough, but I definitely appreciate my father. I appreciate my mother, and I appreciate the way that they raised me, because growing up, I didn't understand why I couldn't hang out or go over a certain family member's house. I didn't understand why I couldn't go to certain sleepovers. I didn't understand that they were trying to protect me, but I know now. So I just wanted to give this message, and I hope that you guys take it in a positive way and share this message to other people. So remember to share this podcast, share this show, like it, subscribe to it, comment on it, feedback. Like, teamwork make the dream work. So help me out, y'all. I'm working hard out here to get this thing started, and we still going, still more interviews. So if you have a story to share, please feel free to hit me up. Like, once you have an interview, this is your show. Like, period. I told Paige, I told her before we did the interview, like, yo, I'm gonna sit back, I might ask some questions, but this is your show. Like, you share your information. This is your episode. I'm just a person that's there just asking questions because I'm wondering. So if you have a story to share, please feel free to hit me up. I am always looking to learn about things. Like, if you don't agree with something I say, please let me know. Let me know why. Let's, talk to each other. Communication is the key of unity and harmony. So with that being said, listen, if you're not doing anything, you're not making no action, and you won't change, you're actually just sitting there and staying the same way. So if you want change, you got to make action. And if you want a different vibe, you got to be the vibe that you want. And this is Mika, and I'm out of here.